Chris Cuomo here. Welcome to NewsNation. I have breaking news to report on several stories. President Trump's DOJ has indicted his longtime political nemesis, New York Attorney General Letitia James. Nope, we have never really seen anything like this before. Not done this way, not this blatant. What is it about? Justice, or is it about just us, meaning one side attacking its perceived enemies? This is what we know. The indictment is on one count, bank fraud. One count, making false statements to a financial institution. Those are related, obviously, and also may be from the same body of fact and proof, okay? Prosecutors say this is all about loan application for a mortgage and saying things that weren't true. I think the case has problems on two different levels, but we'll talk to the expert first. Reminder. You know Letitia James is relevant to Trump because she's the one who brought the case for him inflating value on his property of loan applications. Is it an irony that he's going after her for the same kind of thing? No. Also, breaking tonight, a federal judge in Illinois has temporarily blocked the president from sending National Guard troops into Chicago to aid in his immigration crackdown. Why? Because you have to show that there is a need of such an emergency move without a governor or local municipality asking you for it. The judge said Trump's deployment of troops violates 10th Amendment, states' rights, right? If they're not given to the federal, you give them to the states. The 14th Amendment, why? Due process, and posse comitatus, which is power to the county, meaning that the state gets to do its own policing. So it is a temporary block. How long? I don't know, because the next step is the Circuit Court of Appeals. Insight and analysis, one of the best minds in the business. Harvard Law Professor Emeritus Alan Dershowitz. Good to see you, sir. I got two for you tonight. I hope I don't get double charged.
Same price for you.
All right, thank you very much. Let's start with the Attorney General. Do you believe it's a good case, and do you believe she should stay as AG after being indicted?
She should not stay as AG. She should never have been AG. I wrote a whole book about it called Get Trump. That was not my title. That was her title. She ran for office on the campaign promise to get Trump, regardless of the evidence. She was Lavrenti Beria to Stalin, saying basically, show me the man and I'll find you the crime.
Show me the man and I'll find you the crime.
So nobody should.
Good reference, good reference.
Or a prosecutor who is going after somebody. And there's only one precedent to support what Trump has done going after Letitia James. And that precedent is the New York courts upholding her prosecution, civil to be sure, of Donald Trump. And I don't like either of them. I hate the fact that the justice system is being weaponized. So I'm opposed to get Trump. I'm opposed to get Letitia James. I'm opposed to get Comey. I'm opposed to get Schiff. I don't want any of these targeted prosecutions. In almost every case, you can make an argument that they're guilty, but you can also make an argument that but for the fact that they were enemies of, in one case, Letitia James, and
they would have never been brought.
President, they would never have been prosecuted. There's an enormous question out there.
So let's take the second step of your own analysis. If it weren't her, probably wouldn't bring it because Trump wouldn't care enough to talk to his own AG about it. But now the second step. Do you think the case, from what we know of the circumstances surrounding the mortgage application, does it sound like a good case?
No, it sounds like a weak case, but a case that conceivably could result in a conviction. I mean, technically, did she fail to disclose what she should have disclosed about other residences? You can possibly make a case for that. Will a jury convict? This is a jury in Northern Virginia, more liberal than the rest of Virginia, but less liberal than Washington, D.C. The problem is nobody should be put to that. Nobody should be targeted for prosecution based on who they are, what they've said, what they've done. They should be targeted on the seriousness of the crime.
Agreed.
Neither Trump nor Letitia James should have been targeted. And I wrote in my book, Get Trump, I predicted this was going to happen, that when you do this kind of thing, you're going to be tit for tat, and you're going to see weaponization. I made a speech in Mar-a-Lago. President Trump was there. And I said to him, he had just been elected, he hadn't been yet, hadn't been inaugurated. I said, please, 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 don't sink to the level the Democrats have sunk to. Please don't try to take revenge.
I'll tell you.
I saw him shake his head, but obviously we're seeing what we all anticipated. That is, you can easily understand why President Trump would say to himself, they did it to me, they did it to my family,
Yes.
and I'm going to do it to them under their.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And that is the difference between justice and this is for just us. That's why I break it down that way. And look, full disclosure, I have had a major problem with the Attorney General's approach to my brother and, frankly, to me personally. That said, I still think this case is exactly what the professor is saying it is, and I'll just give you two additional things, right? And I said the same thing when it was Michael Cohen, by the way, who I'm also was not a fan of for his own efforts. But one, the banks did not complain about this, okay? This is not about a bank asking for justice.
Well,
two,
that was true.
Say again?
In the case against Trump, nobody complained.
That's right. That's right. And nobody had lost money. But, you know, hold on. So, one, they didn't complain, which is relevant, okay? Two, she told them it was not her primary residence. So I don't know how you get somebody for fraud or false statements when there was a fundamental disclosure to what they are now claiming was fraud. And, you know, and again, I have my own bias here. But despite it, I don't love the case, and I think it is not justice. It's about just us. Second one, the Illinois District Court Judge, Allen, saying no rebellion. This does not qualify under the Insurrection Act. 10th Amendment, obviously. 14th Amendment, no due process here for the state. You didn't make the case that there's a rebellion. In effect, the district court judge not doing what you assumed and I adopted as my own position, which is the courts will defer to a president's right to be wrong about the factual basis for an emergency. This judge did not.
Well, what this judge basically said was that there was no basis for making this into a rebellion. He did that as a matter of law, and he made a mistake. He made a mistake by looking at the evidence, looking at the facts, and basically saying the president was wrong as a matter of the exercise of his power and discretion. So I think the Court of Appeals will probably uphold her judgment, but then the president can come back and just change his approach and say, I'm sending in the troops to protect federal buildings. I'm sending in the troops to protect federal officials, and he'll win on that. So my prediction is that the president will lose a lot of the battles in the district court, but ultimately he'll win the war if he presses the right buttons and makes the right arguments about federal involvement to protect federal buildings, like in Oregon, where federal buildings were impacted and federal officials around the country. So in the end, the president will lose battles but win the war.
Professor Dershowitz, thank you for the concision and the clarity. We will speak again and soon. If I don't speak to you, good Shabbos tomorrow night. Take care. All right. Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.